Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today in what we hope is going to be one of many live feeds where we're going to come to you and just try to give you as much information, kind of what the United States Fitness Coalition has going on, also as well as current events throughout our country, what we're doing and how we're representing everybody. So my name is Charles Casara. For those of you who don't know, I'm president of the United States Fitness Coalition. I also own two small gyms out here on Long Island. One is in Suffolk and one is in Nassau County. So obviously we're directly affected by everything that's COVID. And that's kind of how all this started from being locked out of phase 4. So what we are a nonprofit company that was formed essentially from being locked out. And our purpose and our mission is to make sure that the fitness industry is well represented to become essential, to have that essential and professional status put upon us. As we know, kind of what ended up happening, we just ended up in some sort of recreational field. So we'll be advocating for that across the country. We're also going to be helping gyms and fitness centers change the narrative that was thrown on us from governors across the country. That gyms are dangerous, problematic, that we're dirty, and that essentially we weren't part of the solution. We were actually made part of the problem. We're also going to be working on licensing, insurance, and getting the credentials that we need in order to be that essential and that professional service. And we'll talk about all that a little bit later on. But that is what the United States Fitness Coalition is doing. We just actually got up and off the ground, and we're proud to say that we are almost at 70 members now within about 48 hours, which is pretty exciting. And it shows us that everybody is starting to kind of get on board, and we're represented in many states. We're not just here in New York. We currently have representation from New York, PA, New Jersey, California. We got to fly here. We're going to turn into Mike Pence. And Connecticut. So we're growing, and the word is out there, and we're getting a bunch of other gyms and fitness industries all over. And we're from big to small. So we just don't represent, little boutique gyms, but we represent pretty much everybody, and everybody in our coalition has a say. So as we got on here today, I just wanted to speak about a couple things, maybe some misconceptions that people have, and clarify a bunch of things that the Usfc is doing and moving forward. And we're going to spend maybe about 15, 20 minutes on each topic. You guys can ask whatever questions that you want, and we'll try to keep this somewhere around an hour or so, all right? So I want to talk about the current state that we're all in, and not just here in New York, but across the country. As far as the lockdowns go, what certain states are doing, and how they're operating. So we'll start here with New York. In New York, we still have our city gyms, which have indoor group fitness. They're still closed. Restaurants in the city can't be over 50%. They can't be inside, over that capacity. They're getting all sorts of restrictions on how they're supposed to operate during the winter months. Today, the New York Fitness Coalition is representing the fitness industry in a lawsuit, and that is being heard currently, actually, as we speak. I do not expect a decision on that today. For anybody that wants to know, I don't expect that we'll hear that today. The judge can take anywhere up, to 7 days. Hopefully, we hear something by next week. So I wouldn't expect to hear anything coming out of that today. Could he render? I guess he could, but again, I wouldn't expect that.
Question right now from Matthew Alexander is asking if there's an update on the de Blasio lawsuit.
Yeah, so we don't know. I spoke to him just before he went in. Everything is done via Zoom or Skype, and he is currently upstate where he was representing another industry up there, and he's taking care of us. And then he actually has to come down here as he's also representing football teams for New York State. So he's going to be quite busy today. So hopefully I'll get an update for him, just basically how I guess it went, how our case went, and what the judge kind of said at closing. All right, so we'll keep you guys posted on that. So Governor Cuomo is now doing things in micro clusters, micro clusters, all right? I don't think there's much rhyme or reason to these to these clusters and how he's pinpointing it and the zip codes that he's doing it in because people can travel in. But that's what we're doing now. So it seems like every other week we have a microcluster somewhere, and things are just being shut down for that 1 to 2 weeks. And that's kind of currently what he's doing. In the same token, you do have Mayor de Blasio, who is coming on with more fear and rhetoric and threatening to shut down the city yet again. And he's not talking about just, zip codes here. He's specifically saying things like expect massive lockdowns again. Okay, so that's concerning. Unfortunately, we are stuck with Mayor de Blasio until next year sometime. So that's his part, and Governor Cuomo is dealing with these microclusters. Now, what we're seeing with these microclusters is they're using things like parties and people getting together. So there were 2 big ones out here on Long Island. One was a big wedding, I believe, and 61 people from there actually were contact traced to have COVID. And another was a personal homeowner had a party. And the personal homeowner was fined $2,500. It's the first time that we have that. And I believe the wedding hall was fined $17,000. We know Leonard's of Great Neck lost their liquor license about a week and a half ago. For those of you who don't know them, they are pretty famous. They've been around a very, very long time. And these things are happening, and this is what I guess I really don't understand, and what part of what the United States Fitness Coalition has to be about is these things that are happening are a direct result because there is no guidance. There is no set standard for how we get from 33 to 50, when we can get inside, what we're supposed to do, what are the numbers supposed to be. It's the actual definition of being arbitrary. You're keeping businesses and you're keeping people and you're all in the dark during a time where that's the last thing we all need. As you have families now, I think there was something like 1.5 million that were added to the below poverty rate. We have unemployment that went uptick yet again. So here everybody is caught in this flux of being nervous, of not knowing paycheck to paycheck. Do you sell your business? Do you negotiate with the landlords? Do you try to find a job? There's nothing here. So what do the governors, what do the mayors, what does everybody expect? Okay, are we just supposed to stay shut? Are we just supposed to just wing it because we're not getting anything? We're not getting any feedback. We're not allowed in the conversations, right? So part of the United States Fitness Coalition is to be in these conversations, right? If we know and we can be in them and we know what's going on, then allow us to disseminate information so that people can start to make decisions and choices. Because what's going on right now is just going to close businesses across the board. We just saw 115 Applebee's and IHOPs are going to close. And they were considered to be essential. And this is just going to show you that it doesn't matter anymore. If the restrictions don't come off and the executive orders don't stop, and we don't have some sort of guidelines, funding, bailout, something comes, everybody's just going to close. All right? We're talking 60% of restaurants by December. We're looking at 60% of gyms by December. And not so much for the middle of the country or in other states, obviously, that are opened. But we're looking really at, like, let's say, Jersey, New York, California, where we're just getting crushed all over the place. New Jersey just installed an 8 p.m. curfew for all non-essentials. Okay? And he's talking about rolling back from there. What does that even do? I don't even understand now. 8 p.m.? COVID doesn't come out at 8:01? Or none of this stuff honestly makes any sense. And I think that this is also part of the problem why people are going crazy. Because things are common sense now, or so they should be common sense now. Okay? We know, everything about COVID that we kind of need to know as far as hospitalizations go, the infection rate, the death rate, all these things. At some point in time, we have to disseminate information to allow the public to open up and do what they see as fit. No one here is saying to willy-nilly just open up, but we can't just sit here and wait every day at 11 or 11:30 for the governors to come on with bated breath and say, oh my God, is today my day? I get to this, I get to that. And then we just sit here in this flux of, oh my God, he's going to roll us back. Oh, did I get a microcluster? Did somebody have a party? Is it my gym that's in this red, orange, red light, green light, 1, 2, 3 zone? It's the most insane crap out there right now, okay? So we have to do something. And, you know, complaining about it to our friends and to our family is one thing. But formulating this coalition has given a purpose to not just myself, my family, but what is now nearing 10,000 businesses. And we're just continuing to grow, and it's giving people a voice, a place to go, a place where they feel they're heard, where we can kind of get some sort of guidelines and some sort of information on what to do, how to deal with landlords. You know, that's another thing. The landlords here are just getting crushed. And for all those people out there that are like, the landlords, you know, they got money. Money shouldn't breed contempt in that matter. Just because they're successful, that doesn't mean that they should not be getting paid or have some sort of recourse. In the same token, the landlords can't come to us and be like, well, you know, I don't care, you're open, you know, pay me, or it's not my fault you were shut. Well, this is a two-way street. It's not my fault I was shut, it's not your fault I was shut, but we need to work hand in hand. Perhaps if we knew what the hell we were doing, we might be able to figure out how to negotiate with the landlords. But the truth is, what we kind of see going around here, and I'm going to read something to you from California, which is just insanity, but Europe just closed back down. Parts of Europe just closed back down, where you're supposed to get permission to go outside. Are we going to follow? Is that what's coming down for us now? Right? So we don't know. How can I negotiate with a landlord if I'm going to be in some sort of microcluster? These threats, the verbiage used, the constant fear, they serve no one any good except for the people who are talking about it. That would be the governors and the mayors and the politicians who have an agenda. And I've said this before, if you think they don't, you're not paying close enough attention, okay? Because they do. At this point in time, we can open safely, and we could be at 100%, and we can track the numbers, and we can contact trace, and we can watch the hospitalization, and we can do everything that we're supposed to do. Waiting for a cure or waiting for a vaccine and then telling people that they have to take said vaccine is not the answer. Fear-mongering is not the answer. Coming on every single day saying, today we lost 2 souls. God rest their soul. That's not the answer either. Do we do that for everything? Do we do that for cancer patients? Do we do that for heart disease? What are we doing? Everyone knows this was horrible. And everyone knows someone who was affected by it. I do. My wife served in those units. She worked in those units. I was always worried when she came home. So was she. And she saw things that, were awful. And my heart goes out to everyone who lost a loved one. But there's 350 million people here in America. At what point in time do we allow the citizens to kind of have an opportunity to show that we can open safely, we can open respectfully, right? So I want to read you something from California to give you kind of an idea of what's going on. Now, if I told you guys, do me a favor, give me 9 outrageous things that you would think would come out of a governor about the mandates, I bet you couldn't come up with some of these. So this is about the holidays, and this is from California. These are mandatory Christmas, Thanksgiving gathering guidelines, and they are real, okay? Because as I read them, you're going to think they're not. No more than 3 households, including your own, may gather. The host of the gathering must collect all names and addresses of those attending. All gatherings must be held outside. Outside. You can go to the bathroom. You can. Inside, only if the bathroom's frequently sanitized. Because if it's not, and if you don't see the posting on the wall that the person cleaned it in the last hour, you can't use it. So, we got to make sure we're there. You are allowed to gather in an open park, 3 households only. But wait, There's more. But no concurrent gatherings, like with people you know in the same park. So if you know somebody in the park, like, you know, another family over there, well, you guys can't, you can't do that. All seating must be socially distanced. All food must be in single-serve disposable dishes. Makes sense. You must wear a mask at all times, unless you're eating, because then, you know, the COVID don't get you. You can only gather for 2 hours. So, you know, there's a timer, like we do here at CrossFit. You've got to have a timer up there, and you got to put the count down. You got to go, okay, guys, give a 3, 2, 1 countdown.
Run the clock.
All right, so then you're good to go. Now, here's where really this is what makes sense, and this is the good one here. Singing is discouraged, but if you must sing, you must wear a mask and sing below a standard speaking voice. What? I mean, seriously, what? I can't believe that they wrote it, and as they wrote it, or they were in a meeting and somebody was saying it, that everybody in the room was like, yes, yes, write that one down. That's a good one, George. What are you talking about? Blows my mind, blows my mind. So these are all the things we kind of have going on, right? So we know we're still being shut down. We know we're underneath all of this stuff. So I want to talk to you guys about getting complacent. And what do I mean by that? We're talking about, yes, the New York Fitness Coalition did sue Governor Andrew Cuomo. We are in part the reasoning that gyms are opened. Part of the protocols that we have in place were taken from the NYFC, Kevin Godfrey from Trusted Safe, and implemented. But the job's not done, and I think a lot of people think it is. And now that we got the doors open, it's basically business as it was. That's not the case. That can't be the case as we move forward. And we can't get complacent. So posting videos of business as normal is only outraging people more. We really can't be doing that because the public opinion matters. Okay, it matters. The public opinion that the governors put out there that we were non-compliant, okay, because we're not regulated, because we have no license, and we'll get to that. Because they think we're problematic, because they think we're dirty. He put this narrative, or they put this narrative in people's minds, and it's a true one. And anybody who's opened here in certain states that still have restrictions, New York, California, New Jersey, you're seeing this ring true. Your sales are down, bringing in new businesses down, because people don't want to come back until there's a vaccine or until the winter months, because now we got flu and COVID, even though the flu rate is way down. My guess is because if you have flu, you have COVID. That'd be kind of my guess. Or part of it is because we were inside, or because we're wearing masks, or because we're socially distancing, so the flu isn't going to be as prevalent. But posting those things is infuriating people, and it's infuriating the gyms that are trying to do the right thing. So we can't get complacent in that way. You also have to look at the fines that are going to come. So here's what we know, because we are in talks with the Department of Health as well as the Department of Labor. We are in those meetings. We are on the calls, trying to see and trying to be a part of what is coming so that we can be prepared, just as we were to get everybody prepared here in New York and New Jersey, just as we were talking to people in California because we were ahead of them as far as opening went. And we disseminated that information, and we got you all that information, and we're still talking to them, and it's important to be in there. So currently, as of now, there's hundreds of gyms, hundreds, just on Long Island that haven't affirmed or been inspected. We can tell you within the coming weeks, they're just going to come. Okay, so if you haven't affirmed, they're just going to come. And then if you don't have what you're supposed to have, you're going to be shut. And the reason you would be shut is because you didn't affirm. Right? So to them, you're trying to hide, so they're not going to have leniency in that manner. Fines are coming. Okay, fines are coming. And then as far as re-inspections, the only time we're going to be re-inspected for the remainder of this year would be from calls. Now, I do know a couple of people got spot inspected. Part of that is because the checklist for the Department of Health is overwhelming on who's been inspected, who hasn't, and I do know a couple of people that, the fire marshals and sheriffs and things of that nature just dropped in again. But for the most part, you're only going to get re-inspected currently if there's a complaint. Okay, so if there's a complaint, you can expect to be re-inspected. And this is, again, why you got your inspection. It doesn't mean that all bets are off. Let's start taking the masks off. Let's start just having a free-for-all. Let's put away the cleaning protocols. I don't have to belong to this. I don't have to do that. I don't have to get the right cleaning. You do. You do. And inspections are going to start back up again in 2021. And eventually it will be, think of along the lines of restaurants, right? It's just going to be spot checks. It's going to be random. You're not going to know. Right now they let us know. Next stage is just going to be complaints, right? So they'll file and they'll follow up with complaints. They're going to learn what to do with gyms. They're going to learn how to inspect gyms. We know this again because we're in those talks, all right? So it's not just going to be, let me see your filters and whatnot. It's going to be testing. It's going to be cleaning products. It's going to be what they can tangibly test for, right? And that will be a way to kind of regulate. And that is coming. So that's not going away, period. It's not. So to say that we can just operate as normal and show all these videos, it does a disservice to everybody else, okay? And it doesn't do well for what we're trying to portray in the public. Part of the reason that gyms were closed or fitness centers were closed is because we are not regulated. And regulated can just simply mean a license. Regulated can simply mean that the Department of Health, the sheriff, and all that have to come in and you have to meet some sort of standard. It's not regulation as far as, oh, you can't do that, you can't lift this. No, it's these simple things, correct? Just like every other industry has. So we didn't have that. So there was no way for them to know if we were compliant or weren't we being compliant. And if we weren't compliant, what were they going to do? Okay, so a lot of it went into those things, hence why we were put into this recreational phase, okay, because we have a lot of different smaller industries within the overall industry of what is considered to be fitness. So getting complacent isn't where we need to be. We need to be even more vigilant right now. We need to be together. We need to have a unified voice. We need to be advocating to get out of this recreation. We need to be advocating to become essential. We need to be advocating to have licenses. We need to be advocating to have insurance, have trainers who are certified with licenses and not 1099s, okay? Because the 1099, believe it or not, hurt the industry as far as PPP went, but it hurts the industry as a whole on who's professional and what's essential. Okay, so those are a couple of things on why we just can't be complacent. Now let's get into how are we going to get through it? How are we going to do all of these things that we kind of want to do? Licensing. Let's talk about licensing for a second. I think this also brings something in gym owners' heads. A license is just simply saying that with the state of New York or state of California or state of New Jersey, that you have a license to do the business that you're doing. Currently, gyms don't have that. Give you an example in Nassau County, there's 800 gyms. 10 gyms in Nassau County actually have a license to do fitness. 10. All right? We're okay for other businesses to have licenses. Let's think of restaurants. You're okay that the restaurant business has to have a license. The Department of Health has to go in there, and they have to regulate that refrigeration is up and running, that there's certain cleaning protocols. Why? Because you don't want to get sick, right? So you know that they're regulated, and by regulating, well, you can go there feeling safe, sure that the food that's going to be put in front of me is cooked the way it's supposed to, and it was clean, and I'm not going to get sick. But when it comes to our industry, and I mention a license, it's like, no, I don't want a license. I don't need a license. Get out of my business. See the irony in that? In construction, to give you an idea, you have to take a license. You have to take an exam. It's a universal exam. It has nothing to do with construction. It has nothing to do with me putting a home together. Do I know what a rafter is? Do I know how to cut one? Do I know how to put on a roof? It has nothing to do with it. However, every single industry that's involved in construction has to take this exam, and it's a license. And that's what we're talking about. One license that unifies the entire industry, whether it be yoga, mixed martial arts, karate, CrossFit, regular global gyms. If I want to be my own personal trainer, you would have to have it. It's one simple license that encompasses everyone. It is not specific. And that is what we don't have. And that is what we need. We are in talks with the Department of Labor, trying to figure a way to put some sort of material together for that licensing test. Again, it is just universal. And we should have a license to do business. We should, because the public should know that when they're coming in, that this gym, this center, is licensed with the state of New York. That we just didn't go and start up a corporation and then just, take a couple of certifications and hire trainers who may or may not have certifications and put them to work on clients. This is why we were not deemed essential and professional. In a sense, essential and professional, by definition in there, it means that a service that's provided to people that they need, right? That they need. Well, we can make the argument that they need a fitness center for mental health, for your physical health, for your immune system, for a lot of comorbidities that COVID attacks, right? So we can make that argument. But great, what do we do after that? We're making an argument to say we are essential, but we're not willing to do the steps it takes to prove it. And proving it is having a license. Moving forward, that is part of what the United States Fitness Coalition will be doing. And hopefully we'll be in those talks to know what that license will look like, what it'll be, what it'll entail. But again, think of it as a universal license that fits in everybody there. So let's see if we got any questions about that in the chat. Let's see. Got anything in there, Jim? I can't see. Just read them off.
Really quick is with the license, will it cost us anything as an independent contractor, and will instructors in the facility have to have the license, or will it be I guess he's asking if it's going to be the facility, if it's going to be on each individual.
Sure.
Where do you see it going?
So yes, a license is a fee. So in Nassau County, that license fee is $1,300 to take. It lasts 2 years. You have to renew it. It's pretty much the same thing in construction. But it's renewable at like $500 or $300. But it is similar. Every trade is about the same. So yes, you would have to pay for a licensing fee. We are trying, and currently we have a meeting on Monday, to see about funding and to see about grants. So we are seeing if we can get grants for gyms that would allow us to have money to put in to train our trainers for these certifications and licenses, where we would get paid a certain amount of money and then send them through the program, where there would be 600 hours or more. So yes, but we are working on ways to alleviate some of that cost expense through granted money and funding. So we are working on that. Go ahead.
There's also one more question.
Yeah. I just wanted to hit to the trainers.
Yeah, good.
But as far as the trainers are going to go, yes, the trainers are going to have to go through a course. Okay? If they're not going to have their own business, then they wouldn't need to have that license. But let's get back to 1099. Let's say I have a big gym, 30,000 square feet, and I want to have personal trainers come on in, and I don't want them as employees. I want them to be private contractors and train clients and then pay a VIG. For those of you who don't know what a VIG is, part of that back to the gym. Then they would be independent contractors. They essentially would own their own business. then they would have to have that license, carry their own insurance and their own workers' comp, give that to you, and then you turn that over at the end of the year to your accountant, and that's how the taxes and the 1099s are legally supposed to work. So if they wanted to be independent contractors, yes. If they don't want to be independent contractors, we are currently also working on courses for them and granted money for the gyms to put them through that course. So that you would hire this person, you'd put them through the course, and at the end of the day, you would get money to put them through. If you decided to hire them, great. If you didn't figure it would be a good fit, doesn't matter. There's no fee, there's no fine for taking the money or anything like that, but you put that person through that program. Now, that trainer has that actual license and certificate to do what they need to do in each and every business. So now when somebody comes into a gym, they can see all these things and they know the trainers have all the things they're supposed to. What was the other one?
The other one was just Sean was saying he has a yoga teaching certificate. He also has a certificate to be a yoga school, where this is something other than that. He's saying, am I getting another license on top of that?
So those aren't licenses. Those are certificates. I have a certificate to teach CrossFit and own a CrossFit gym. That's not a license by the state. Okay, it's not a license by the state. It's specific to your trade. And having the things that are specific to your trade are great, right? But it's not the one overall. I always think continuing, and we'll call them CEUs, continuing education credits, right? Those are awesome, and I think everybody should have them in their field. So I think a CrossFitter should not just have a level 1. I think they should have a lifting cert. I think they should have, a powerlifting cert. I think they should have a gymnastics cert. These are all things that you have that just give you credence to your job, to your title, to what you do. So yes, those things are going to be an additional to everybody. All right, so like I said, I have my level 1, my level 2, I have a CrossFit Kids. I still need a license to do business legally in the state of New York. And again, these aren't new things. We're not creating things that are new. This is what we're supposed to have. But the state and localities don't enforce it. But in this world that we live in, it's now going to. Okay, so these aren't things that we're saying and just making it up. But these are the reasons that we're not essential. And then NCIAS crap, or whatever those codes that Jessica was dealing with, those are useless. They're useless. Okay, so forget about those. It has nothing to do with those codes. And that was proved during this whole entire COVID point. So yes, it would be additional too, but the more of those things that you have, it does set you apart in your trade, right? Why people should go to you. Yes, you're licensed and your instructors are, but I do believe that you should always be giving continued education to even your trainers. Basic life support and things like that. One more.
All right. We're looking at what happens if you teach at multiple gyms. So you're looking to get a certification, like it's one certification, right?
It would be one. Yeah. So let's say if I was a personal trainer and I want to be an independent contractor for many gyms, I'm going to go get the license. I'm going to go get it, and I will be able to work in any gym that I want with that current license. Now, that gym might require you to have a certification. Okay, and again, that is something that we are working with the Department of Health and Department of Labor in creating to have those certifications for industries, so that would be granted money and have things to be different. So you could have one for yoga. The yoga studios could put together a course that they felt their instructors should go through, and then that would be granted money for that in particular course. And you can do that for any type field. So no, you wouldn't need multiple. It's just a license. And again, I want everybody to think about it in simplest terms because we all know people in the field of construction. It's very simple to think of. Roofers, siders, window guys, sheetrockers, spackle tape, paint, framers, beginning to end masons. Every single one of them have a license. That license is a universal one, not specific to what they're doing. Okay? Most learn on-the-job training. Right? So for them, their continuing education pretty much stops at that point, but it's one universal license for that. So we spoke about licenses, we spoke about the Department of Health, grants and funding. Protocols, so let's talk about the protocols. And this is a big one that gets everybody's hair raised. The cleaning protocols, we get a lot of kickback in saying that we were all cleaning prior to, right? We were all cleaning prior to. There's no shot we were all cleaning the proper way. And I don't even want to get down the road of, yes, I was. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Okay? And I don't want to go down the road with my cleaning supplies didn't get anybody sick. So here's the answer to that. The answer is the frequency of now which you have to clean. The frequency in which we were cleaning is nowhere near the frequency that we now need to clean. And this is the point where the product becomes even all more important than what we're doing, okay, than what we used before. So the frequency in which we clean, we're supposed to be cleaning in between the classes. We're supposed to be deep cleaning. So if we have multiple classes, we're cleaning a lot, we're spraying a lot. People are rolling around, they're touching, they're breathing in. So we can no longer use those type of products. Plus, when we do know when it's going to come down to random testing, okay, which what Usfc does, and it's also a marketable tool, so when people come in, they can scan it and they know that you received this grade. When you clean with set other products, it does throw the testing in a different way because those products have all sorts of different stuff in them. Okay, so the cleaning protocols are something we should all be doing. I don't understand the pushback on the cleaning protocols. They're here, and they're here to stay. But again, they're nothing that we shouldn't have been doing. We just had to admit to ourselves, and I'm one of them, guys, that we weren't doing it right. And when you have someone, and please look at his resume. Please look at Kevin Godfrey's resume. We talk about science and data, and we should follow it sometimes, and right? That's what we should do. Do me a favor, look at what this man's resume is, and look what he's talking about. When he came in for the first time, before I even really knew who he was or wanting to get involved of anything, he gave me about a half hour of his time in the gym when he came to test me. The things that I learned, I had to admit I was doing everything wrong. So these cleaning protocols are here for us, for the safety of our members, to ensure that we don't get sued in this crazy world that we live in, where there is going to be lawsuits, okay, from people who perhaps who get COVID and say they got them from us. We now have tangible information to say, no, you didn't. So we don't need to take this in the wrong way. And if that's the only regulation we have, that's pretty good. I think we did a good job, right? Because that's all we're talking about here. The HEPA filters, fine, they're here to stay. Purifiers, fine, they're here to stay. It's not killing anybody. And I don't think the cleaning protocols should either. We have to spend money on something to clean. I can tell you I was spending more on the other stuff than I'm spending now because I had to buy it and then wipe it down, and we know now that the wipe down didn't do anything, right? So these cleaning protocols we put in place, they're here to stay, and everybody should be using them. Everybody should be using them. And you have to be careful when you film, right, that you're filming these cleaning protocols in the right way. And that's also what we're doing as part of the USFC. We'll be having webinar events. We'll be sending out videos, tutorials, instructions on what to do, how to stay safe, how to keep everything properly cleaned so that when you get tested, you receive that A grade and you can really rest assured that your members are comfortable and stuff like that. So we have that. We have the courses that we spoke about. We're also trying to deal with programs for inner city schools. We believe that the fitness industry has more of a role to play. The true term essential, saying that we are needed, right? And I think more than ever we are needed. Why did COVID affect America so badly, right? Think about it. We know why. And the fitness industry can help. We can help people with obesity. We can help people with chronic disease. We can help people with diabetes. We can turn things around for people in 3 months. So really think about if we had never been shut, how many people could we have helped? How many lives could we have saved? We want to be a part of the school system and helping children and helping the teachers. So we're working and we're talking to have the United States Fitness Coalition back to gyms, be involved inside of those. We're also dealing with corporations. At some point in time, people are going to have to go back to work. So we hope. Currently everybody's moving out of California and they're all moving out of New York, but at some point in time, everybody's got to go back to work. And it benefits businesses to have a healthy employee, but they are going to be reluctant to send them back to gyms if we're still in this influx. Well, the United States Fitness Coalition gyms are meeting the CDC guidelines. We're exceeding them, actually, and we're on par with the Department of Health and what we're doing. So we feel that we have a leg up if you're one of our backed gyms. And we are speaking with larger corporations, ClassPass, and a few other people to see how that can progress and how we can be a part of that. So let's just see if we have any other questions. I don't think we do, right, Jim?
No, you just got Justin given an explanation on the product.
Okay. Yeah, Kevin likes to do that. Okay. So I think we covered a bunch of different stuff today. How we're gonna operate, what it is we're doing, what the goal of the United States Fitness Coalition is. So I just want to leave everybody with some food for thought out there. Everybody who's kind of watching and might be listening to this and might be against gyms in particular or industries opening up. And I just want to leave you with this thought. What is your plan? What do you think we should do? Do you think it should be unlimited authority to do whatever it is that these governors are doing? What is your end game? You can't come to businesses and families, perhaps because you're working, or perhaps because you know someone who was affected by COVID, and simply say, I think you should be shut. I think you're problematic. There are people behind those words. There are families behind those words. So if you don't want us to be open, you can't come to us and just say, because. You have to come and give us a plan. You have to tell us why. So what is your end game? And this is for all the negativity that we kind of get. I am seriously asking you, what is your end game? Is it to wait for a vaccine? Is it to be sheltered in place? Is this what you want? Is this what we're supposed to have? So I guess I want you to think about that when you see gyms struggle, restaurants struggle, when you see a wedding hall open up. Know there's reasons why people are doing it, and kind of maybe ask yourself, what are we supposed to do? It's just not as easy. You know, there are corporations all over the place who are closing down. These are real world problems and situations now. Disney isn't going to open up. They're laying off tens of thousands of people. The movie theater industry is probably forever changed. AMC is closing, Regal's closing. So there has to be some sort of reform. And there has to be some sort of group that's going to lead that way. And hopefully the United States Fitness Coalition can be a part of that. And we can kind of lead the way with everybody here. All right, so until our next one, guys, everybody stay fit, everybody stay healthy, and everybody be well. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.